All righty, there he is. How you feeling, my man? You feeling good?
What's up, Ego? Doing okay. Good to be here.
Okay. All right. You gonna be at the game today, this week, I mean?
I am. Looking forward to being in attendance on Sunday. I've had this gas bubble in my eye, but I'm thinking it's going to be gone before Sunday.
Let's hope so, man. Let's hope so. You'll bounce back. All right, Joe. Where are you? Because I get a lot of Josh Boyer hate, and I'm not ready to pick on Josh Boyer when he's playing with his 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th corners and a backup strong safety. And, you know, this past week in that 60-something yard run by Justin Fields, I showed how there were Dolphins all over. It was just like Rocky couldn't catch the chicken. And, you know, we kind of enjoy watching Tyreek make people look foolish. Well, guess what? Guys like Justin Fields and Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson and, you know, Pat Mahomes and stuff, those kind of guys will make you look foolish at times. So I kind of chalked it up to more that you just ran into a freak that was hot in Justin Fields, who could probably do that to almost anybody, and not kill the defense so much. So where are you with the whole defense, their injuries, and Josh Boyer's job and everything else?
Yeah, I mean, earlier this year, the week before the Steelers game, I wrote a column wondering whether the Dolphins might be missing any of Brian Flores' influence from a schematic game planning and adjustment perspective. And people jumped all over me. They said, you know, it's too early. That's unfair. Don't you know Flores is horrible? He's a bad guy. We're so glad to be rid of him. Shut up. And then I did come back and praise Josh Boyer when the Dolphins posted consecutive second half shutouts in recent weeks. So, listen, small body of work still, half a season to play. Obviously, the Dolphins defense was much better in the second half of the season last year than the first. There are some former coaches and current and former players who have claimed to this day that Flores and former coaches like Gerald Alexander played a larger role in the second half of the season than they did in the first half of the season. But listen, nobody works harder than Josh Boyer. He puts in all the work. I do think that despite the injuries, key injuries, especially to Byron Jones, that the Dolphins defense in general should be a little bit better ranked in certain key categories, including obviously yards and points per game. I think this is a better defense than we have seen overall, taking into account their overall performance through 9 games.
Yeah, and I thought when Tua was out, the defense actually did a pretty good job of keeping them in games and giving them even a chance to try to win those damn games. They actually had a chance to win a couple of those games. Unfortunately, they just didn't have enough offense. So it's just, I just find it kind of funny how I got a lot of, you know, Josh Boyer hate this weekend.
Yeah, me too.
When I was like, bro, you just got to tip your hat to Justin Fields, dude. The guy was, he was on, man. You know, it just, it might have been.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
25th in points per game allowed. That's not good enough considering the talent that is still out there. You know, the Dolphins have had a Patriots-like defense where they give up a lot of yards, and they are doing that. 23rd in yards allowed, 363 yards per game. But they've always sort of stepped it up on third down and red zone, bend but don't break. And listen, Xavier Howard doesn't have an interception. And so he and others need to create more turnovers. That's key to the whole thing. That's been the biggest problem.
Is that Boyer's fault? Is that Boyer's fault that X doesn't have an interception? Is it Boyer's fault that he's probably not playing at 100%? Is it Boyer's fault that he's got a whole bunch of corners that probably wouldn't even be on the team? Because you think about it, Jones is your 2, Needham's your 3, and Trill Williams was your 4. Before he got injured, that was the guy that was next in line. Then the next guy is 5, 6, 7, and 8. You know, you're talking about guys that, you know, a couple of them aren't even supposed to be in the damn league. They probably should be on your practice squad. And then now, Brandon, and as you know, Joe, I don't think you're going to argue with me on this. They have no one to replace Brandon Jones. Like, no one's even close to how dynamic he is to helping you out in all areas. So I don't know how you fix that. I don't know how Boyer can overcome that when your free safety is really your only guy that is fully healthy and experienced and should know what to do. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, we have to give Boyer credit for identifying Kader Kohu, who has been very good,
Yes.
highest graded defensive player by Pro Football Focus in this last week, and that's what I saw. A guy who continues to play well, a guy who's probably the long-term slot nickel corner for this Dolphins defense. So credit to Boyer for finding guys like that. It is true that everybody has injuries. And it is true that the Dolphins have a lot of talent on defense. I mean, you're right, injuries. Brandon Jones is a good player, but not irreplaceable. Even Byron Jones, good player, but not completely irreplaceable. I mean, when you look at the talent that
who can do what
defense,
Brandon Jones does? Mm-hmm. Who's going to do that on this team?
Oh,
I'm sorry, I got to hear this one. Who's going to do that?
Well, you're not gonna have Brandon Jones. It needs to be other people doing some of the things he did.
So he's actually irreplaceable then, because you can't find anybody that does all the things.
The exact role. Well, that's what coaches are paid to do, to make adjustments based on the available personnel and the matchup in that particular week. So listen, Brandon Jones is a good player.
That sounds fantastic in theory. Mm-hmm. You have yet to give me an example of who has the skill set to step in and fill for Brandon Jones, because there certainly isn't Eric Rowe. So who is it? Tell me. They don't have it. You can't replace him.
Brandon Jones was a guy who got a lot of tackles. I don't know. Let's see what Elijah Campbell can do with some increased playing time. Obviously, they're using Javon Holland. They're using Javon Holland in a multiple position. Maybe you need to promote his college teammate Verone to the full-time 53-man roster. But here's the thing, okay? I mean, we just have to be fair here. Let's rank these defensive available players, okay? Xavier Howard, Emmanuel Ogbah, Christian Wilkins, Bradley Chubb, Javon Holland, Raekwon Davis, Melvin Ingram, Zach Sealer. I just mentioned 8 really good players, And so this is not a defense devoid of talent. It is on Josh Boyer to move those grades and rankings up from whatever I mentioned, 23 and 16 or whatever, up into the top 10. Up into the top 10.
Not without a secondary. Not without a secondary. You're asking you keep asking and you have no solutions for this, because no one's going to replace Byron Jones. No one's going to play like him. And then you've got to then go to the nickel spot, and you got to go to the dime spot. And you're going to
these guys aren't flawless. Listen, Byron Jones was criticized. Oh, he wasn't living up to his contract. He never gets interceptions. Brandon Jones was criticized. Oh, he's a pretty good tackler, but he's not good in coverage. These are not pro.
But he got better this year. He got better, wasn't he? Didn't you see the better? I saw Brandon Jones.
The whole Dolphins defense hinges on Brandon Jones.
Well, no, it does on the entire secondary, my brother, because the defense is based on 2 shutdown corners that will then free everything else up for you to do it. So now Boyer can no longer play with the philosophy of what the defense was built like. They built that defense to have those 2 corners on an island, so you have more freedom with your safeties and your linebackers to do more things. Now you don't have that anymore, because you don't have 2 shutdown corners. In fact, you don't even have one, because X is playing with a growing 70%, maybe 80%. So he's not himself. You don't have your 2. I love what I see from Kohu, but I can't put him and put the demands on Kohu, who is an undrafted player from Division II, to all of a sudden become a full-time starter that is going to be impeccable out there. Joe, I just think it's a little unrealistic to ask Keon Crossan to be what he's never been before. And while Verone McKinley, clearly they like him, he's still an unproven young dude. Also, I think it's too simplistic to think that you're going to overcome all the things that are going on with the secondary.
No, I'm just looking at this thing. I'm just trying to be fair here. Ravens 38 points. Jets 40, Vikings 24.
The Jets deceiving.
Lions 27, Bears 32. It's just a little bit high. I'd like to see that lower.
Yeah, but the Jets are deceiving. 3 of those scores were on short fields from turnovers, right? Was it 3 or 2?
I'm not good at remembering that stuff.
But it's that's kind of what you're supposed to do. You got to remember that stuff. I want to say 2 or 3 were turnovers in their own side of the field, and they gave them easy points. So that's why that number because that was a close game through almost 3 quarters, and then all the mistakes came in, and then the game got completely out of hand. Overall, that's where you and I are going to disagree there. With
listen,
Boyer.
You got Jacoby Brissett and Davis Mills. All right. So listen, we know what's coming up here. Those teams are going to average. They should average under 20 points a game.
Yeah. You should win. You should win. And I'm not saying that you can't win, Joe. I'm just saying you got to give Boyer actually credit for fighting through all this adversity. He's been
all right. I'd like to see the rankings a little better. Listen, this is when it's going to matter. December. Herbert, Allen, if he's healthy, Aaron Rodgers, and those 3 in particular. I mean, Herbert, you blame Allen, Rodgers.
You blame Boyer for Ogbah's.
Listen, coaches the coaching staff in general. It does play a role when a player is not performing at the previous level. So yeah, it's a factor. Yeah. Austin Clark told me he needs to get Emmanuel Ogbah's pad levels corrected. All right, get him corrected.
I just think Ogbah might be the guy that killed himself for the contract and then is now kind of coasting and not getting it done. And I've watched this many times in this league. Watch the guy kill himself for a contract, and then when he gets the contract, he doesn't live up to the contract that he killed himself for. And I'm just wondering that those are the optics right now for me. When I look at Emmanuel Ogbah, I don't know if he realizes it, but that's what he looks like. He looks like the guy that busted his ass for the contract, got the contract, and isn't busting his ass anymore. And I don't know if I can blame Josh Boyer for that. That's.
Yeah, I mean, not to defend Ogbah, but he has had multiple injuries. That is true. He has had injuries, and they're all hurt, but he has had injuries. So let's see how he does in the second half.
All right, your thoughts on the offense right now, especially the passing game right now with Tua and the fellas.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible. I mean, you got Tyreek Hill on pace for 2,000 yards receiving. He and Jalen Waddle are obviously uncoverable. Tua Tagovailoa has improved as a downfield passer. Now, it's true that he still sometimes underthrows the guys, and it's true that he had a couple of throws he'd like back at the end of the last game, but nobody's going to be perfect. Overall, we have to give big kudos, big credit to Tua Tagovailoa for taking a huge step forward in his career. He's obviously a much improved player. He's healthier. He's physically stronger. He's reading the defenses better. He's got better teammates. He's getting better coaching. He's in a better scheme. It's exciting. It's fun to watch. Everything's positive. Everything in the offense, even the offensive line, is performing at a better rate with Shell in there at right tackle and Jones in there at left guard. It looks like maybe those guys, you just run with them for as long as you can. There seems to be some improvement in the run game. This Jeff Wilson reminds me of Damian Williams. Remember him, the spark plug from a couple of years ago?
Nice call.
In terms of being able to bring energy and catch the ball.
A little more power than Damian. But yeah.
Williams was underrated, though. He wasn't big, but he was strong. He was a Texas kid, too, I think. Yep. And so, listen, clearly – no, it's from the state of Texas, though, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. California.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, he went to Oklahoma. I was thinking Jeff Wilson is from Texas. I think Damian was actually from California. But anyway, yeah, I love guys like that, guys who bring energy and burst and spirit and relentlessness and an underdog mindset. It's great, and that could be a sneaky good pickup for the Dolphins running game. So yeah, everything's looking positive for the Dolphins offense.
Let me see. Did Cowboys are signing Odell Beckham?
Mm, I
Interesting.
don't think. Yeah.
All right, so they've got a stretch coming up after these next two games that they've got Cleveland and Houston. You should win. You should be 8-3 when it's all said and done. And then you've got that stretch of the Bills. I don't know if Josh Allen's going to be there or not with this UCL thing. You've got Green Bay. You've got God, who's that 4 games? San Francisco, and there's one more.
Chargers.
Chargers, and at the Chargers. If Miami wins 3 of 4, everybody's talking about Tyreek being in the MVP conversation. Does Tua become a part of the MVP conversation if they win 3 of those 4 games?
Yeah, I mean, I looked it up. Caesars has Tua as the 5th or 6th choice because he's a quarterback, and they have Tyreek at 10th in terms of Vegas odds right now. And yeah, Tua's 6th and Tyreek is 10th according to Caesars. And it's because it's almost impossible for a non-quarterback to win. But what's going to work against Tua is all the things that's helping him. All right, and people are going to say, "Well, Mike McDaniel deserves credit, and Tyreek Hill deserves credit, and it's the scheme." And so that will work against Tua in the MVP race. For the listen, but if he finishes the league first in passer rating, first in yards per attempt, and the Dolphins, let's just say I predicted they would win 10 or 11 games. So let's say they win 13. What if the Dolphins go 13-4? If the Dolphins go 13-4 and he leads the league in passer rating, QBR, and yards per attempt, then I'm saying right here on the Big O show that I will write a column saying he deserves to be MVP.
What I laugh at, Joe, okay, the double standard with Tua just continues over and over and over again, because this is what I love. Well, he's playing great because he's got the receivers, because he's got the coach, because, it's the scheme. Poupart thinks that that if you plug in Bridgewater and give him the same practice time and all that, you won't miss a beat and you'll have the same numbers, which is completely crazy on his part, but that's fine. But what I love is that the people have the balls to bring up, like what you just did now. Well, it's his coach, it's his scheme, it's his receivers, it's this. Then for 2 years, he's too short. He can't throw the ball. He gets hurt. He can't throw the deep ball. He doesn't work hard enough. Meanwhile, for 2 years, I'm fighting saying he has no talent. He has no receivers. He has no offensive coordinator. The head coach hates him, doesn't want him around. So he can't get credit for playing well, but he gets all the blame when things are completely bad. It's absolutely, he's the only quarterback in the history of the NFL, because all we've ever done in the NFL is give the quarterback too much credit or give the quarterback too much blame. But in Tua's case, he never gets all the credit like every other quarterback in the history of the game. But for 2 years, they blamed him for everything, when clearly he has proven right now that he was not to blame for anything that went on the last 2 years, and yet he still had a winning record during that time. It's amazing.
Well, you asked, yeah, I mean, you asked me something specific though, which was about the odds that he can win MVP.
I get it.
I'm telling you, no, and surely you would agree that it's sort of like baseball, right? Tyreek Hill will take away some MVP votes from Tua. Will take away, right? I mean, that's true.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
All right. And also because of the Mike McDaniel and Tyreek Hill additions and Teron Armstead, that will also hurt Tua's MVP status. You agree, right?
No, I get that, but the
Okay.
explanations for Tua's success now, it's I'll give you a great example. Justin Herbert. For 2 years, I kept telling everybody, well, wait a minute, he's got a Pro Bowl receiver in Keenan Allen, and Mike Williams is a hell of a receiver. He's got Eckler, who's a much better running back than anything Miami has, and his line, while Miami is bad, hell, last year, at least he had that first-round pick sitting there at left tackle to help him on, and I know he's injured this year. But all of a sudden now, guys are injured for the Chargers, and he's not playing well. And guess what they're doing now? Do they blame him? No. Why would they blame Golden Locks? Of course they're not going to blame Golden Locks. They're going to say, no, it's not Justin Herbert. It's that Keenan Allen is out. It's that Mike Williams banged up. It's that this and that. But they don't blame Justin Herbert. It's, you know.
But this is also true. Folks like you, it's never enough. Like what unless you say that he is destined for the Hall of Fame, it's not enough. And nobody, I tweet all these nice things and nobody cares. Nobody comments, nobody retweets, nobody likes. I tweeted, Tua is exceeding all expectations and living up to what the Dolphins thought they were drafting. No one cares. Right. No one cares. They just ignore that. Tua is more experienced, healthier, physically stronger, in a better scheme and with better teammates. He's taken a step forward in the downfield game. No one cares. Nobody tweets it. Nobody really likes it. Nothing. All they
I think because a lot of the Tua believers,
it's never enough. It's never enough. It's insane. It's like our political landscape. People are so dug in, so entrenched, so angry. Why can't you just enjoy it? Why can't you just say, wow, this is great fun. This guy's playing well. But no, instead it's here we are on election day. Okay. It's like Republican and Democrat. Okay. It's vicious. It's viral. It's violent. It's people hate each other. Everybody's so angry. Why can't we just say, wow, this guy's playing great?
Yeah, I think it's because they also see that people are just waiting in the wings for the guy to fail so they can pounce on him.
How do you know that?
I'll give you an example. In this interview, you mentioned that he wished he had 2 passes back. Are you counting the Smythe one?
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah.
No,
you
can't. You can't. It was Smythe's fault. That's my point.
Well,
listen.
Well, hold on. There was a miscommunication between he and Smythe, but Tua's pass was short. So even if he was going to hit him in the back or in the back of the helmet, there was not a good pass. It's okay to say the guy didn't have a good pass.
No, you're completely describing that play wrong. The pass was bad because he turned up and looked at up the field, and in that motion, he was already in the delivery process. And if you've ever thrown a football that you you didn't want to throw it because you late saw the coverage or whatever, you end up pulling back, and when you do release it, it doesn't come out the right way. Joe, if you've ever done that and played quarterback, even in street quarterback, even in the park, that will happen to you playing quarterback. And that's what happened to him, that while he was in that motion to throw, it's not that easy to just stop. And he's in that motion, and Smythe looks up, and he's like, oh, shit, he's not looking for me. And so then that's why it was inaccurate, Joe. You see, you're not describing the play the right way. You're not describing it like how the quarterback saw it. He told you that. He explained it to you, that Smythe looked up, and once he looks up, it takes away from the throw. So you're not going to be accurate because you don't know where you're throwing, Joe. Once he looks up, you don't know to throw it over him, to the outside, low, whatever. So all of a sudden now, Tua's left in a lurch right in the middle of that, and then it becomes a bad play. Miscommunication, but it was on the tight end. So when you said he missed on 2 throws that he wanted back, it's not accurate. But those are the things that the Tuanons pick up on. The Tuanons pick up on you give him all the blame, but you don't give him all the credit.
This is ridiculous. I wrote 800 words. I wrote 800 words about the last game and didn't even mention the Smythe play. All right, so like whatever.
I get it, but you mentioned
could
it now.
Could he have gotten it out there a little more on Jalen Waddle and maybe even?
Yes,
I don't know.
That was what you call
all the nice stuff I say about Tua Tagovailoa. Do you agree that there are times where you could get it out there a little further for these fast guys?
Yeah, on that.
That's what Darrell Bevel told you.
And again, let me explain that throw too. Okay, on that throw, he was trying to be too safe. He was just trying to complete it to end the damn game. Instead of, he should have put a little more juice on it, because he easily could have thrown more juice on it. He floated that one because he wanted to make it so catchable that he would catch it. And then unfortunately, he didn't put enough on it. He has a fast guy. Lead him a little bit more. That was all on Tua. I'm not defending that throw. I know exactly what happened in it, but I'm not defending it. I'm with you. But I will defend the Smythe one because it wasn't on him. The other one was totally on him. But when you play such an impeccable game and you miss one throw, the real job is for the defense to tackle and try to stop Justin Fields. That's really the real job of that game. Tua did his job in that game. He put up all the points that you needed, and the special teams even helped out. The defense is the one that kind of fell short there. But yeah, I'm with you. That was a short throw. He should have put more on it. That's all. There's nothing wrong with that. With you there.
I just think that fans of Tua Tagovailoa, supporters of Tua Tagovailoa, defenders of Tua Tagovailoa should just, in my opinion, take a deep breath, relax, enjoy this. Nobody's saying anything other than the fact that he's playing great. So the defensiveness, the anger, maybe, ease up on that a little bit.
Well, but I kind of explained it to you right now, and you still kind of like glazed over it. That
I am, because it's sad if you can't enjoy it, if you're focusing all your energy on things that people have pointed out in the past, like, durability, arm strength. Well, you know what? He's been better.
Yeah, no, he's been absolutely fantastic, is what he's been overall. Does the offensive line stay intact, Joe? Even when Austin Jackson is ready to, I'm with you there, but what does your gut tell you? Does Austin Jackson get the right tackle spot? Does he get the left guard spot? Does he become the swing tackle / swing guard because he's played both? What's your gut tell you, Joe?
I would leave it alone. They think Austin Jackson is a tackle, so he's going to compete with Brandon Shell. If and when Brandon Shell struggles, you can go back to Jackson. But, it's kind of like in hockey. These hockey coaches have a tendency to leave their lineups the same until there's, at least a loss, And right now the team's winning and Shell is playing well. Leave it alone.
All right, one more thing before I let you go. Anything on Byron Jones? I almost get the feeling that he's going to try to play the least amount of games possible to he's got to get some games in to get into free agency next year. That's kind of my feeling. But I don't know, man. You're around the team. What do you hear? What do you know about what the hell's going on with Byron Jones?
Yeah, I don't. If I knew, I would tell you. I don't know. I mean, look, this is reminiscent of situations where guys have ended up not playing at all. And so, would it be surprising if Byron Jones doesn't play this year? No, I wouldn't be surprised. But who knows? Maybe he's secretly, secretly training and one day he's just going to show up on the practice field. I don't know. Well, it is disappointing.
Do we have a deadline, Joe? That's the part I'm a little lost on.
I don't think so. No. I think they can bring him off the physically unable to prepare list at any time, and you get, I think it's 4 weeks to be activated to the 53-man roster. So I guess if you get, to the part where there's 4 weeks left and he still hasn't practiced, you might as well bring him off the PUP list and see if he can practice.
Okay. By the way, G Firm just sent in a super chat. He says, "Love and respect your work, Mr. Schad." How about that?
Well, that's nice.
So there you go. Okay. So people are giving
he is
you love.
apparently he follows my Twitter account.
That's right. They love you here, bro. They love you here. Although one guy put Schad as the victim. Poor Schad.
The victim. Well, that's the thing. Tua is no victim. What is he the victim of? Come on.
Oh,
you're a professional quarterback.
He's been the victim of freaking Brian Flores, bro. Of hell for 2 years. He was a victim for 2 years that they battered. He had an owner that didn't want him, a coach that didn't want him. Those two owners that didn't want him, because the two owners were scheming to go find another coach, another quarterback. The head coach wanted another quarterback. So yeah, bro, he's that kid's been through hell and back. You know.
Hey, Big O, I'll see you Friday.
You got it, bro. Be good. There you go. The great Joe Schad. Follow him on Twitter at Schad Joe. And of course, go to hijinksportsgrill.com.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.